Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hey, Gertrude, thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted to be here. I am coming to you from a little suburb just northwest of Detroit in Michigan in the United States. And I'm so happy to be here today to share a little bit about my heart's passion, my journey with your audience. I'll start it at a memory that I have. The day that I stood at the foot of a mountain that I had been dreaming of climbing with my husband. We were on our 25th anniversary trip. He had planned out so many hikes for us at Rocky Mountain National Park. Anybody that's visited the United States must go see Rocky Mountain National Park. It is amazing. But I stood at the path of that mountain and I looked up at the trail. It was only about a half a mile and I thought, I can do this. But it ended up that I really couldn't do it because at the time I was morbidly obese and my weight was holding me back. I was more than 100 pounds overweight. And that was really my turning point, take ownership moment, the moment that I had to sit down on the side of that trail in Rocky Mountain National Park and I could not go another step. I was gasping in air and I had to have a heart to heart. And I remember just crying out to God, just saying, Lord, I just want to feel better. I just want to feel better. At that point in my life, in my journey, I had been carrying this extra weight for about 30 years. I had given up on the idea that I would ever lose weight and be at a healthy place in my life. So I really just wanted to feel better. But in that moment, I can look back on that time. I remember the suffering. I remember how sad I was. I remember how frustrated I was. And a new resolve settled on my heart. And I was able to come home from that trip. And I was able to begin the process of taking back control of my health, of what I say, taking ownership of my health. I ended up stepping up and out onto a quitting sugar journey, which led me on an amazing ride. I call it from my mudslide on the side of a mountain, my mudslide to a joyride, with regaining my health by quitting sugar step by step. I just was so interested in healing my metabolic health that I did end up finally losing a little over 100 pounds. I ended up being on the cover of magazines. I ended up writing an award-winning Advent devotional, which was totally unexpected. And I just ended up being called out of my corporate career as an accountant. I was an accountant in corporate America for 32 years. And this new passion that God had put on my heart for health and wellness for other women just like me, it launched me into this new career, this season of being an author, a speaker, a certified health and wellness coach, and now a sugar licensed practitioner. I've been able to inspire and help thousands of women around the world quit sugar, show up for their own health, quit sugar, and claim weight loss victory. And I say once and forever, because as someone who lived in yo-yo dieting for 30 years, I know what it's like to be stuck in that place. I know what it feels like, and I want to help other women break free and to experience this healing journey that I've gone on, this weight loss victory that I've been maintaining now for almost 8 years now. Actually, the day we're recording this, my anniversary of getting to a healthy weight is January 8th, 2018. So it's 7 years from now, but 8 years ago, I really stepped up and stepped out into this lifestyle of living sugar-free. And so stepping out of corporate America, I developed a method, what I actually call it a movement, the SugarFreed Me movement with the SugarFreed Me method. It's a way of eating. It's a way of not eating through also intermittent fasting, but it's really dialing in, living what many people would know as a low carb lifestyle, ditching the sugar and all of the unhealthy processed foods that were damaging my metabolic health, being set free from yo-yo dieting, and supporting other women to do the same, to live sugar-free and completely change not only their physical health, but also this journey has been a journey of physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, holistic health. I call it holistic health. And for me, it's been fueled by faith. And out of that birthed the SugarFreed Me movement, which I had to create a program, a 3 to 6 month long program called the SugarFreed Me Weight Loss Solution. It's an online coaching program. So I get to meet with women all around the world and share this lifestyle with them to give them hope for healing. And through the methods of my program, the SugarFreed Me Method, we go on an exploration journey of our food relationships when it comes to food and fasting, our feelings about food, because really, if we're honest with ourselves, really the mindset work is really the most challenging part of a healing journey. So we have food, fasting, feelings. We incorporate fitness, and my program is also all grounded in faith. And so that is a little bit about the SugarFreed movement. That's how I moved out of corporate America and launched my own entrepreneurial journey, solopreneur right now, but seeing women set free has truly been amazing. And I feel like I have been waiting all of my life to get to this point. I loved my accountancy career, but this really actually fills my heart with so much more passion because I get to touch lives. I get to sit down and chat with people. For example, this began sitting down with women over coffee and talking about a lifestyle change and how that could impact our heart and how it can impact our body, mind, and our spiritual health. And so it's my absolute delight to be able to do this, to be able to serve women in this way and to actually have a movement and have a passion for helping women be set free.
Wow, what an incredible journey, and what
Mm-hmm.
a timely opportunity to interview you at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
When we're all setting our New Year's resolutions, we're wanting to shift and make a difference. It's a real honor to have you and to hear such an inspiration with what you've done with your life. It's just incredible. How does it differ from the traditional weight loss programs that are already out there, this sugar-free movement?
Yeah, that's a great question because I was stuck in all those traditional methods for 30 years. And what I learned is I could count all the points. I could follow the programs. I was actually really good at following programs. I didn't deviate. But what I wasn't addressing was the root cause of my obesity. And that for me and for the women that I have the honor to coach, it really comes down to our sugar cravings, our food cravings, what's going on psychologically, what's going on physiologically. And also something that my doctors never addressed with me was my blood sugar imbalance and my insulin resistance. I had doctors tell me that I had metabolic dysfunction, metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, but no one ever really explained it to me at the level that I needed so that I would have my aha moment and I'd be like, oh, I need to balance my sugar levels. I need to balance my insulin hormone. And once I learned all of that and really leaned into the science of low carb eating, sugar-free eating, And with implementing intermittent fasting, that's really the key that I needed to unlock my obesity. And so just trying something different, being open-minded to try something new, something that no dietitian or no doctor had ever explained to me in that way before. And not to fault the doctors and the nutritionists that tried to help me over the years. It's just that's just standard dietary practice, right? It's what we hear over and over again. Eat less, move more, calories in, calories out. And the one that really was really detrimental to all of the yo-yo dieting that I did was everything in moderation. Well, everything in moderation doesn't really work well for someone like me who has a sugar addiction or a food addiction going on. So physiologically, my brain was demanding and crying out for more sugar, more carbohydrates, just for that satisfaction. And just learning all of that and knowing now about what food and sugar addiction can look like. And some of us have really severe sugar addiction. Some of us are just harmful users. And it's, for some reason, we can't lose that last 20 pounds because we're still returning to sugar. But just learning all that and being open-minded and having a new way of trying something to heal your body, to heal your metabolic health, I think that's really something different that the SugarFreed movement offers. Is like really examining like what is sugar. And when I say sugar, I mean sugar, flours, grains, ultra processed foods. When I say that, what is that really doing to our metabolic health? It's not something that most people talk about.
So let's dumb it down a little bit in case there's somebody here who's saying, this sounds like my story. I've tried everything. I've cut back. I've been on diets. Nothing works. Dumb it back for us and let's really simplify it so that it makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So the easiest way that I have to explain it to people is, first of all, when you eat a diet high in sugar, think of sugar as an ingredient when you're making lemonade. And say you spill some of that sugar on your counter. When you go to clean it up, it's sticky, right? Sugar is sticky. So when you're ingesting sugar, imagine what it's doing mixed with your blood and water and all that in your body. It's sticky. So sugar is causing a lot of our metabolic health issues like prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or neuropathy in the feet, retinal neuropathy, because the sugar is sticky. It's also inflammatory. And another easy description, another easy way to look at sugar, what it's doing when you eat a diet high in carbohydrates. Say you have a sub, or you have a hamburger and some French fries for lunch, that is loaded with sugar. So your blood sugar is spiking. And I call it the roller coaster of the day. So as you're ingesting a diet high in carbohydrates, your blood sugar is spiking after your meal. And then have you ever felt that crash in the afternoon, like 2:00, you just get that slump and you're so tired? That's your blood sugar crashing down. And that's your body's way of saying, hey, I need more sugar. I need more fuel. And so you have this, that's how I lived for 30 years. I remember those slumps and those blood sugar crashes so well because my body was crying out for fuel in the form of sugar because that's the way I was eating, which I call the standard American diet. And I needed to refuel. So by lowering my intake of sugar, like really cutting back on sugar, I eat very low carbohydrate. I eat less than 20 grams of sugar a day. That really stabilizes my blood sugar, which gives me a steady balance of energy. And it also allows my body to tap into burning fat for fuel as opposed to burning sugar for fuel. And what we all want, fat burning, right? That's what we want.
Now, a lot of foods, especially in the United States, have also got sugar added to them, right?
Yes.
Things that we're buying in restaurants and fast food. Let's talk a little bit about the sugar that you're not aware of.
Yes. So when I first started my quitting sugar journey, I eliminated things like desserts, like candy, cakes, pastries, bakery items, things like that, things that are naturally very sweet, right?
Yes.
And I was making pretty good progress. I was feeling better. I had a little bit more energy. I was sleeping better. but I wasn't losing weight very fast, and I was a little bit frustrated. So I continued my research. I wanted to know why. I was also diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and I wanted to know why my liver was full of fat. And that took me down the path of finally landing on the education and the information that bread is sugar, potatoes are sugar, pasta is sugar. All of these things that I was still eating, even though I was eating whole wheat bread, thinking it was a healthier choice, it was still breaking down into sugar. So it was still, my blood sugar was still imbalanced. My hormone, my insulin hormone was still out of balance. So as soon as I learned that and I stopped eating the bread, sugar, rice, pasta, potato, all of those starchy sugars and grainy sugars, is really when the weight loss happened. That's when I started rapidly losing weight and was able to get to a healthy weight. And yes, so there's, and of course, as you said, our factory processed foods here, especially in America, are loaded with sugars and starches. They are, I believe that a lot of them are manufactured to be hyper palatable, to keep us coming back for more. Like,
Yes.
we just want more of that. We just want more and more. So yes, so factory processed foods are typically going to be very loaded with sugar, even if it's not a sweet sugar. Like
Yeah.
a bag of potato chips is going to be the same. It has the same impact on your blood sugar as a Snickers bar or something like that.
So crazy. Now, your
Mhm.
method integrates faith, emotional regulation, and metabolic health.
Mhm.
How do these elements work together to create sustainable results?
Well, what I learned and what I'm discovering as I've had the privilege to coach women now for a little over 4 years is that,
Mhm.
like I mentioned, I was so good at following programs. Do you have Weight Watchers where you're at? Like you
Yes, we do.
down- oh, I have,
Yeah.
like, I counted the points so well and I could follow it until everything in moderation got me off track. But so what I wasn't incorporating and what is so important to incorporate is the mindset shifts that are
Yeah.
needed when it comes to making lifestyle transformations. This is not just a diet. Like, I don't even use the word diet because people always think diets are dreadful. So
Yes.
instead, this is a process of adopting new habits that will actually impact your life. I say that as we develop these small habits, they build and they deliver big results. And for
Yeah.
me, also, not only was I having physiological cravings in my brain for more sugar, but I also was having cravings of my heart because I was lacking so much in my faith based journey. And
Yes.
I was filling all the holes in my soul. I was coping with food. I was soothing myself. I was trying to make myself happy. I was celebrating with food. I mean, there's so many reasons we use food, right? As a coping mechanism or
Mm.
as a celebratory thing. So I discovered that nothing changed in my life until until I dug into. I'm a huge. I read my Bible every single day. I love God's word. It, like, right there, it was the perfect guidebook for me to help me figure out how a better way to satisfy my soul. And it was by eliminating these foods that were damaging my health. That was where the physical benefit came in. But then also, really diving in and making this a faith-based journey was what strengthened my resolve, my resiliency, to be able to restore my body and renew my mind. So it all worked together. I fully believe that we are made as holistic beings. We're not just physical creatures. We have
Yeah.
souls, we have minds, and they all work together. And when you find this rhythm, that's where the freedom comes in.
So, what were the biggest challenges that you faced during your 100-pound weight loss journey,
Mm.
and how did you overcome them?
I would say one of the biggest things was kind of not understanding like what was happening to me, because it was really truly different from the previous ways that I had tried to lose weight. And I had lost quite a bit of weight in different programs. Like, I did a hospital-based program where I drank nothing but liquid shakes, and I lost about 65 pounds during that.
Oh,
But this
wow.
was really, I just felt like that more I was feeding my body healthy, the more
Yeah.
my mind was focused on, positive things, a mindset that was looking forward instead of just focused on the scale weight or focused on, counting points or whatever. I
Yes.
started feeling this deep sense of joy that I'd never experienced before. So coming to the acceptance of that was actually, it's kind of difficult to explain, but it was a very different experience. And I wondered if it was real. Like, is this really happening to me? After 30 years of trying, how is this possible that I can be getting to a healthy place in my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, and now I can stay here? So
Wow.
really, yeah, to stay here, of course, everybody always says that maintaining a weight loss, a massive weight loss, is really difficult. So to be able to stay
Mhm.
here, that's really been a challenge.
Must be empowering, though. It must be a really good feeling because you got to the other side of all of this.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
how do you help your clients navigate the emotional and psychological hurdles associated with breaking free from sugar addiction?
Yeah, it is. Well, first of all, very therapeutically, there's actually some science behind obviously abstaining from sugar, which would be a
Mhm.
very low carb lifestyle, does help quiet the noise of sugar addiction. We
Okay.
talk about it in the sugar addiction community about, the food noise is really loud. When we're addicted to sugar, it's constantly reminding us that we want to eat because we want to satisfy something and our brain is demanding something. So really, abstinence, just like an alcoholic, you would not, say to an alcoholic, oh, just go ahead and have one beer or just go ahead and have a half a bottle of wine. Sugar abstinence is really key to this healing. And then once you get the way of eating down, which actually it's hard for me to say this because it sounds so simple, but if you get the eating
Mhm.
down and you get your meal planning down, you're making healthy food choices, that actually helps begin the process of the emotional healing, because you've
Okay.
got this, like, you've got these habits built that you're relying on, and now you're eating healthy, you have more energy, you're feeling better, you've got this momentum, this motivation to keep going, and that's when you can start healing the whatever it is that may have, like, a lot of us carried past emotional trauma of,
Yes.
just childhoods that were full of bullying. A lot of us grew up being chubby and overweight and were bullied, and some of us had more severe trauma, and we again turned to food for that. So
Yes.
that is like getting the food right first and then moving on to the next, the emotional part of the journey. And then overall, for women that are looking for a faith-based journey, God's word just covers all of that. Like, there's guidance and instruction and hope for healing, and there is more peace. There's peace in
Mm.
that food noise is quieted down, so it quiets your brain, and there's peace there.
Yes.
So peace and joy, and just, just that feeling of freedom, like something has shifted. And it's a beautiful thing for me to watch these women walk through this journey and to realize, like, this is really possible. Like, it's finally possible after 30 years of dieting failures. It's really possible that I can have peace with where I'm at with my health.
Now, your story has inspired thousands and has been featured in all these major publications.
Mhm.
What has been the most rewarding feedback or success story that you've received from a client?
I recently had a client also reach 100-pound weight loss milestone, and she's absolutely delightful. She's a young mom, so she's still in her 30s, and that made me so excited that she was taking ownership so young. And
Yes.
so I told her when I got to my 100-pound weight loss milestone that I wanted to go to the grocery store and I wanted to grab 10 pounds of 10-pound bags of potatoes and try to carry that. And I never did it because I can't carry 10 bags of 10 pounds of potatoes. But she actually did. She went and she grabbed
Wow.
two 50-pound bags of potatoes. She had her husband load them in her arms, and she tried to carry that 100 pounds of potatoes. And let me tell you, she could barely hold it up for very long just to get a photo. So just seeing stories like that, and she testifies all the time about like this transformation that has taken place in her heart. And every woman that shows up and does the work, that puts in the work, puts in the time, and really takes this health journey seriously, they all testify to not only like the physical healing has been amazing, they feel better, but it's really like what has happened in their heart and how their heart has transformed and how they are living now like more fully to what they believe they were created for. And so I love those kind of testimonies.
That's just incredible. How exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an author, what messages do you hope readers take away from your devotional Seeking Joy and your upcoming book, Sugar Free?
Yeah. I add my Advent devotional, Seeking Joy Through the Gospel of Luke. It's a Christmas
Mhm.
to Calvary Advent countdown. And
Okay.
that was an accidental book. And you can imagine, as someone that went through a massive weight loss journey, and I was called to write a Christmas devotional. That wasn't exactly in my plan, but it's been such an amazing blessing. And my overarching umbrella to everything that I feel like I've been called to do and every purpose that God has created me to do is a message, a theme of joy. And like I said, I never experienced true joy because I lived quite miserably when I was morbidly obese. I was a very unhappy person. I had no understanding of joy. And to be set free and to begin experiencing that's what my overall message and my theme is the freedom and greater joy. And as I see women step into this freedom and have an understanding of greater joy, that really just fills my heart with joy. And you can't keep joy to yourself.
No.
When you have joy, it overflows and you can't stop talking about it. So this introvert being called to write and to speak and to coach women into a joyful life, I still pinch myself honestly that this has happened to me, but nothing makes me happier than being able to just pass on a little bit of joy to the next woman.
That's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your vision for the future of the Sugar Free Me movement? And how do you plan to expand its impact globally?
Yes. Well, my next book is coming out on January 21st, 2025. And
Nice.
that is my my passion. I cannot believe that this book has finally come to fruition. It's a releasing 7 years to the day I got to a healthy weight. So that's really
Wow.
incredible. It's been quite the journey to get there. But I have a big dream. And I say a girl has to dream, right? So here's my big dream. It's called my M&M dream. I want the impressions to be 1 million. So I want 1 million ears to hear that ditching sugar, living the sugar-free way can help improve your health and body, mind, and spirit. So 1 million impressions and then 1 million pounds. I want to see the people that I reach combined globally to lose 1 million pounds. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wow.
That's my vision.
Now, that would be something to follow for
Yes,
sure.
yes, yes.
Oh, I love it. I
Mhm.
love people who dream big, because really there is no limit to how far you can go.
Right,
It's
right.
really all on you.
Yes.
So, how do you ensure 80% retention rate in your programs? And what do you believe keeps your clients committed to their transformation?
Well, first, I always talk to my clients before I enroll them in my
Mhm.
program because I want to make sure they're ready. They do have to show up ready and willing, right? This is probably one of the hardest things they'll ever do in their life, and it certainly was for me. And they share that with me as well too. But I very actively engage with them. I meet with them one on one. We have weekly group coaching calls. We have mindset sessions. They have access to me 24/7 in my Facebook group. So
Nice.
it really is personal for me. Their
Yeah.
success is really quite personal for me, and I know them each individually. And like I said, I talk to everybody before I enroll them in the program. I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to show up that is not ready and willing. And it's exciting when it's a great match and these women enroll and they're getting success. And if they straggle, like if they don't show up for a couple weeks in a group coaching call, I am following up with them and saying, hey, missed you, what's going on.
Yeah.
I'll
Wow.
see you Monday in the group coaching call. So yeah.
That is just awesome. Now, my last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
In the first one, I'm going to take you back to that young woman who was struggling with her weight her whole life, is on that mountain trying to climb and failing.
Mm-hmm.
In case there's somebody who is in exactly the same spot right now, doesn't know where to start, if you could have gone back and given yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom,
Mm.
what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be based on what life has taught you up until this point?
Yes. Okay. The first thing I would suggest is to be willing to try something different. And that is difficult for type A people like myself because I am very, checklist. I'm a checklist check type of girl. And if someone tells me, do this, do that, get this result, and then I'm not getting the result over and over again, it's time to try something different. And if I had been able to try something different sooner, than 30 years of living in this, living with obesity, I certainly would have gone back and done that. And I would also suggest asking for help. And again, this comes back to our character is somebody like me as a type A person, very rarely would ask for help. But I actually honestly needed help. I needed a new direction. I needed guidance in a different way. And then lastly, for my faith-based friends that are listening, just really lay this down, give it to God, like put it in God's hands and pray, 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 pray. That's what I do all the time. Pray for my own health, pray for the health of the women that I support. And that there is so much power in really truly coming out of myself. Like I can only do so much. And I needed help. I needed a different direction and showing up every day and surrendering this and setting my mind first thing every single morning on receiving the help, praying about it, and just stepping up and stepping out. I always say that when we show up, so when we show up, maybe when we show up at the foot of that mountain and this mountain seems too big to climb, when we show up and we give it all and we show up, I always say God shows off. And that's what I love about helping women break free in the same way that I did.
Last question. I'm now going to teleport you into the future.
Okay.
And we're going to go and catch up and have a conversation with a 90-year-old you. And she is still healthy and vibrant and fit because of the way she's lived. If you could teleport into the future and have a conversation with the future you, this wise woman who's led you up until that point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would say, well, first of all, I would ask, I hope you took some time to enjoy the ride. I know that you are, you're very active, very diligent, very goal oriented. And I hope you gave yourself some space to really enjoy this ride. And, just take the time to reflect on what you've had the absolute privilege to do in life. It's not very often that people get to pursue something that is so passionate and so personal. So I was also remind her to think about the many, many lessons that I call that old Christine got to learn along the way before she stepped into this freedom journey.
That is absolutely wonderful. Christine, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with our community today. Like I said, it's an inspiration, especially at the beginning of the year when people are putting themselves out there, they're setting their New Year's resolutions. I take it your website is the best place where people can find you.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's my name. And if they go on my website, they'll be able to see pictures of me climbing to the top of mountains too. because I finally made it.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Mhm.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement with a passion to bring you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, to empower you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Christine, thanks again for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.